Hey, welcome back. So I have you all in a little bit closer today for another basic eye look. I posted my easy eyeshadow technique last week and I don't know what happened. It must have been looped in the algorithm somehow because thousands of people have been watching it and I've been getting so many comments, which is crazy to me because it is the most basic video ever. And one of the top rated comments, or the comment that I kept seeing a lot, is people asking if I could do the same concept but with cream eyeshadows. So most of you know, if you're familiar to my channel, I am such a stan for cream eyeshadows. I mean, I love them so much. I use them more than I do powder eyeshadow, and I understand that they can be a little confusing if you're not used to using them. So what I'm going to do today is show you a technique, or just kind of a mapping guide to how you can create a really stunning eye look with cream eyeshadows. Really awesome thing about cream eyeshadows is that they're so emollient and easy to manipulate that you really only need one brush to do an entire eye look. This entire eye look was done with one brush. However, on this eye, I am going to show you a couple other options that you can use just to detail your eyes a little bit more. But this is a Real Techniques Deluxe Crease brush, so this is what it looks like. The only thing I would say is that when you're working with cream eyeshadows, make sure you're working with a good synthetic brush. You don't want something that has coarse bristles or a natural hair bristle brush because it's just going to drag and it's going to be a creasy mess, and they just don't work with cream eyeshadows. The other two brushes, one is very similar. It's also from Real Techniques, the Dome Shadow Brush. This one is just a little bit more square. And again, if you have this one, it will work just as good as this one. These are kind of interchangeable. And then lastly, I just have the Real Techniques liner brush. And so I use this for a little bit more detailing on the outer part of my eye. So same concept as my easy eyeshadow technique video. I'm going to be working with 3 cream eyeshadows. And most of you know I love Laura Mercier Caviar Sticks. These are what I use 90% of the time. Formula is great. The shade selection is just phenomenal. And I will ride or die with these forever. However, I understand that they are a little bit more on the pricey side. So what I'm going to do is list some options down below that you can substitute these for if you don't have them. Okay, so cream eyeshadows, 3 colors here. The first, again, a nice matte transitional color, something to use all over your lid, just something that is 1 to 2 shades darker than your actual skin tone. So I'm going to be using Au Naturale from Laura Mercier today. The second is your shading color, or your shade that you're going to use to darken mainly the outer portion of your eye. I'm going to be using Plum today. And again, this can be a matte or something like a satin finish. I wouldn't really recommend going full on shimmer with this type of color, but my personal preference is to just use more of a flat matte shade for, that particular section of the eye. And then lastly is something to brighten the inner part of your eye. So I'm going to be using the shade Intense Amethyst today. All right, so like I said, you're going to start out with your just base color or your transitional color. This one is Au Naturale from Laura Mercier, and you can see it's just about 2 shades darker than my actual skin tone. You don't even need a brush for this part. Just take your finger and just make sure you blend it out. This is actually optional. You don't have to lay a base down. Just know that if you skip on a base, then your entire eye look is gonna look a little bit more sheer, a little bit more on the sheer side, which sometimes I like, sometimes I'm for that. So yeah, technically this step is optional, but it will give you more of like a completed eye look. All right, second step, I'm taking my shade Plum, which is just a really rich plum color. And what I'm going to do is I'm just going to take that as close to my lash line as possible. You do not have to be precise with this. And I'm just going to start out with that very small amount. And the only downside with working with cream shadows is sometimes, depending on the formula, they do dry pretty quick. So I'm going to take that Deluxe Crease brush from Real Techniques, and I'm just going to smudge that into my lash line and slightly on the outer corner. If you remember from my easy eyeshadow technique video, what you want to do is just slightly elongate this color just a little bit past the end of your eye. You don't want to flick it out or make it into a cat eye. But if you elongate it just a little bit, it kind of just gives the illusion of just a little bit longer, fuller eyes. All right, so you could stop here and just add your inner corner and make this a really nice, light, sheer cream shadow look. I am going to build this up a little bit more just to show you how to intensify it. Another great thing about cream shadows is that they are so easy to layer. So I'm just going to lay down that second layer, and you can see I'm just blending it into my lash line and then slightly in my outer corner. Again, you don't want to drag this into your crease because you're just going to over exaggerate your crease, and that's how a lot of people end up with the raccoon eye. So already, I mean, we're defined, we're living our best life here, got a little bit of sultriness going on, all with like no effort. Okay, I'm just kind of laughing at myself at how just easy this is, but this is pretty much your last step. You want to take something that is on the shimmery side or that has maybe like a metallic or foiled finish. If you don't like shimmer, then you could just apply like a lighter vanilla matte shade on the inner part of your eye just to help brighten up a bit, or you could leave it like this. I mean, with some mascara and maybe a little bit of liner on the bottom, it would look super pretty too. But I'm taking Intense Amethyst, which is already on this eye, and I'm just going to lay that down on the inner portion of my eye, pretty much where I just don't have any color initially. So just like all throughout here, I'm just going to lay this down. Take my finger, blend it out a bit. So this is completely optional, but like I mentioned, I talked about the angled liner brush. If you wanted to use your cream shadow as like a liner, you would just pick up a little bit on your liner brush and you would just apply it. If you wanted to do more of an elongated shape, you would apply it in that shape. I'm really just going to add a little bit to the outer corner of my eye. I mean, not much. I just want to darken it up a little bit. And then I'm just taking my liner brush and pushing that into my lash line. So after that, I'm just sweeping a little bit of the excess shadow on my lower lash line, just kind of connecting this top portion with the bottom. Anytime I have a pretty top heavy eye look, I just like to keep the lower lash line pretty light. So just adding a little bit on the lower lash line, and then I'm just going to pop on some mascara, and that's pretty much it. All right, so that is typically how I would apply a full cream eyeshadow look. There is something I want to address. I know I'm going to get this comment, and that is how to keep cream eyeshadows from creasing. Honestly, it's about finding a good quality formula, and that's why I love the caviar sticks. I have really oily eyelids, and these do not budge on me. They have the perfect texture to where they give you enough time that you can work with them and manipulate them, but once they've sat, they've really sat, and I don't ever have problems with them transferring. Now, I can give the suggestion also of obviously priming your eye beforehand and then applying a little bit of translucent powder. This will help absorb some excess oil. You can also apply a really thin layer of this over your eye once you're done. But other than that, I would just say you got to experiment and find some brands that work for you. So I hope you all enjoyed. Definitely let me know if you pick up some cream shadows and do a full cream eyeshadow look. I am so on board for cream shadows just kind of becoming more of a thing because they're easy and they're fun and they look gorgeous. So I hope you all enjoyed, and I'll see you in my next video. Bye.